Right, so a couple of quick safety notices first. We are going to be using knives. We're going to be using some graters. These things you need to be a bit careful with and watch your fingers. Don't want anyone cutting themselves. You're also going to need to wash your hands properly, cubs. That means with warm water and with soap for 20 seconds. You could do it the way they teach you with singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But since we're cubs, I suggest we sing Charlie Had a Pigeon through twice. Works for me anyway. You also need to be careful around the hot stove. You don't want to touch the pans whilst they're on the cooker. Obviously you need to touch them to get them out of the cupboard. But once they're on the cooker, you don't touch them again. Don't want anyone burning the hands. If your mum or dad or whoever's watching over you tells you stop doing something or you do something different, you do it like they tell you. Okay? Good. So cubs, just before you start, we're going to put the pasta into boil because the pasta probably takes longer to cook than anything else. So I've got a pan here on the hob, it's boiling, it's got water with a tiny pinch of salt in. It's bubbling away there, it's boiling away. This here is a plate of about 370 grams worth of pasta twists. I'm going to put that in the water now. And it should take 10 to 12 minutes to cook from here. I'm using a bigger pan than I need, but you will understand why later, and I suggest you do the same. So I'm just going to give that a little stir, and then we're going to put the lid on, and that will cook away there. So let's get back to the recipe. Now, to start with, we are going to chop up our onion. I'm going to use the knife. It's very sharp. Be very careful with your fingers. To start with, before I peel it, I'm a bit odd on this though, I always chop them in half. I find it makes it easier to peel. Once you've chopped them in half, take the top and the bottom bit off. Keep your tips of your fingers out of the way and cut down. And again, cut that down, and then just peel the brown skin off. Some people cry a lot when they're peeling onions. My wife, for a start, she used to always wear goggles when she was peeling, when she was cooking when we were a bit younger. Actually, she still does sometimes. So you'll then have an onion like that. So then what we're going to do, we're going to chop it into slices. Again, you need to be really careful with your fingers. I don't want any cut fingers. So you're going to hold the onion like this, and you're going to slow down. You're going to cut down and cut nice slices, not too thick, just like that. Move your fingers back, slice again and again. Now when it gets over halfway, it starts feeling like it's going to disintegrate, and it will at some point. So when you get that far, which is where I'm getting now, if you turn it on its side and you start chopping it again, and you get a few more chops out of it before it disintegrates, and then you've got some lovely chopped onion, which is the first thing we need. Hi cubs, right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grate the parmesan. So what you need here is a bowl to grate it into, a cheese grater, and the block of parmesan, obviously. So all you do, keep your fingers away from the edges, and you rub it upside down, and rub it upside down, rub it up and down even, and you grate the parmesan into the block below. Now, if you're doing it for 3, I'm going to use about half the block. If you're doing it for 6, you're going to use pretty much all the block. Just don't use the rind bit there, so just grate down to a little before that. And if there's a little bit left, you can always use it to grate it on the dinner to make it slightly more cheesy on the top, like they do in proper Italian restaurants. So let me just, as you're doing this, as I said, remember, keep your fingers out of the way. And This is a fairly hard cheese, so don't worry, it might take you a few minutes more than me. I've done this a few times. There we go. Right, so there you go. I've grated about half the cheese now. I'll put that in there, and as you can see, I've grated the cheese into the bowl. So now what we're going to do, we're going to crack 2 eggs into it. If you're making it for 6 people, you'll need 3 eggs. But for now, 2 eggs. Just crack them in. And you can see 1 egg in there. I'll show you properly in a minute. I didn't place that well. There we go. And second egg going in. There you see. And you can also add a twist of pepper and a little bit of salt in there. And leave that for now. You don't need to do anything more for that until later. Okay? Hiya, so Cubs, a couple of things that I'd forgotten in my first video that I've now stitched together and I need to add. Firstly, pan selection. You need to select a really big pasta pan. The pasta in it isn't going to anywhere near fill it, even when it's done. And the reason for that is that at the end, we're going to pour the sauce into the pasta, as well as the pasta will expand a bit whilst we're cooking it. So we're going to pour the sauce in the pasta at the end and mix it all together and add the cream. And you'll need a big pan to do that. Secondly, set the table. Before you start, I need you to set the table and get either plates or pasta bowls or whatever you're going to serve into out ready and close at hand. Possibly even a big spoon or something that you can serve it out onto the plates or pasta bowl again, whatever. At the end, when we're cooked and it's all ready, everyone's going to be hungry, everyone's going to fancy eating it straight away. So if you make that last step beforehand, it'll all be a lot easier at the time, and you'll get to the table faster and you'll get your dinner down you faster. Lastly, I talked about putting the pasta on. That's the last thing you need to do. So the rest of the stuff I've asked you to do, if you can do that in the last half hour before the stuff starts, the chopping the onion, the grating the cheese and adding the eggs to it, and a twist of salt and pepper, and then straight before the meeting starts, like 1 minute to 5 or something like that, I want you to put the pasta on then. That'll mean the pasta can be cooking whilst we're going through the rest of the stuff, because that is one of the bits that takes the longest. Okay, good luck, Cubs. As I said before, listen to your parent or guardian or whoever is looking after you and have fun. I'll see you online.